2 in the morning, you're scrolling, seeing everyone's highlight reel, their new car, their vacation, their breakthrough, and you're thinking the same thought you've had for months: when's my turn? Here's what nobody tells you about that feeling. Every time you broadcast your financial situation, you're transmitting on a frequency that everyone can intercept. Your struggles, your wins, your plans, you're sending out signals that get hijacked, drained, and redirected before they ever reach your bank account. The wealthy figured out something most people never will. They don't just stay quiet because they're humble. They operate on encrypted channels. Radio silence isn't peace, it's protection. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly which frequency you're broadcasting on right now and how to switch channels before another dollar gets intercepted. Sarah learned this after 3 years of screaming into the void, wondering why nothing stuck. Think about actual radio signals. When you broadcast on an open frequency, anyone with a receiver can tune in, pick up your transmission, know exactly what you're sending. That's what most people do with money. They announce every move, tell their family about the raise before the check clears, post the side hustle before the first sale, share the dream before the foundation's built. Every word is a signal going out into the world, and the world is listening. Not to cheer you on, to tune in and drain you. Your coworker who suddenly needs to borrow money right after you mention your bonus. Your cousin who has the perfect investment opportunity the moment you talk about your savings. Your friend who needs help with bills every time you're getting ahead. They're not trying to hurt you, they're just receivers picking up your broadcast. The broke frequency operates on open channels, everything transmitted, everything intercepted, everything redirected before it compounds. But there's another frequency, one you can't hear unless you know it exists. The wealthy don't broadcast, they encrypt. Their financial moves happen on channels only specific receivers can access. No announcements, no updates, no transmission of data that can be hijacked mid-flight. Radio silence isn't about being secretive for ego, it's about signal protection. When nobody knows your frequency, nobody can jam it. Here's the part that changes everything. Silence doesn't just protect what you have, it multiplies it. Every time you keep your mouth shut about a financial win, you're letting that energy compound internally instead of dissipating externally. Think of it like this: when you tell 5 people about your raise, you've just split that psychological win into 5 pieces. You got the validation hit, the dopamine spike, the social proof. But your brain thinks the work is done. You announced it, you celebrated it, the reward center fired, so the actual raise, it doesn't hit the same. You've already spent the emotional currency before the money even enters your account. The wealthy understand something that sounds almost spiritual but is pure neuroscience. When you hold a win in silence, your brain hasn't closed the loop yet. The tension stays active. The goal remains alive. That internal pressure becomes fuel that drives the next move and the next and the next. Radio silence creates compound momentum. But here's where it gets brutal. Most people can't handle it. They need the external validation so desperately that they'd rather broadcast and drain than encrypt and build. The discomfort of silence feels like suffocation. So they transmit, they announce, they share, and they wonder why their frequency never changes. You want to know why the rich seem to materialize money out of nowhere? Because by the time you hear about it, they've been operating for months or years on a channel you never knew existed. No interference, no static, no energy leaks. They built the empire in radio silence. You only see the broadcast when it's already inevitable. So how do you switch frequencies? How do you stop broadcasting on channels that drain you and start operating on encrypted ones that compound? This is your 30-day radio silence protocol. Week 1, information blackout. You don't tell anyone about financial moves, not your wins, not your struggles, not your plans. If someone asks how you're doing financially, your answer is one word: stable. That's it. No details, no elaboration. You're cutting off all outbound transmissions to see what happens when the signal stays internal. Most people break here. Day 3, someone asks about their weekend plans and they can't help but mention the overtime they picked up. The side hustle they started, the debt they paid off. Small leak, but a leak is a leak. Your frequency gets intercepted. The validation hit feels good for 2 hours, but the momentum dies. The ones who make it through week 1 start feeling something strange, a pressure building, not anxiety, focus, like a signal getting stronger the longer it stays contained. Week 2, observer mode. Now you're watching everyone else broadcast, your coworker announcing their crypto gains, your friend posting their new purchase, your family member sharing their business idea. You're not judging, you're studying. Notice what happens to their energy after they transmit. Watch how the validation hit fades. See how their momentum shifts from internal drive to external approval seeking. You're learning to recognize broke frequencies in real time, the constant need to announce, to be seen, to get confirmation that the move was right before the results prove it. You're identifying the pattern you used to live in. Week 3, encrypted actions. This is where you start moving money in silence. Open a high-yield savings account without telling anyone. Transfer money into it, even if it's $20. The amount doesn't matter. What matters is that you're taking financial action on a frequency nobody else can access. Make one financial decision that improves your position and tell absolutely no one. Not to celebrate, not to get advice, not to share the win. You're practicing encrypted operations, building the muscle of moving in silence while everyone else is screaming into the void. Week 4, frequency lock. By now, something's shifted. You notice you think about money differently, less anxiously, less desperately, because you're not hemorrhaging energy through constant transmission. Your wins stay yours, your plans stay protected. Your moves compound internally before they manifest externally. You've switched channels. You're no longer broadcasting on frequencies that anyone can intercept. You're operating on an encrypted line that only your future receives. Sarah, 27, customer service rep at a tech company, single, living with her sister to split rent. Salary, $3,200 a month. Take home after taxes, $2,400. Every Sunday at 11 p.m., she'd post on social media updates about her week, her goals, her progress. She'd screenshot her budget app showing her paying off debt. She'd share her side hustle journey, 47 posts about her financial transformation over 6 months. 0 actual transformation. Because every time she posted, someone would respond. A friend needing to borrow $40, a family member with a business opportunity requiring investment, a coworker suggesting they split an expensive course. She felt validated, seen, supported. But her bank account told a different story. Tuesday, March 12th, 9:43 p.m., she posted about finally saving $500. Emergency fund started. Big win. 37 likes, 12 comments. Dopamine hit like a drug. Friday, March 15th, sister asked if she could borrow $200 for car repair. Sarah thought about saying no, but she just publicly celebrated having savings. How would it look if she refused, sent the money? Emergency fund, $300. Sunday, March 17th, friend invited her to a girls' trip. You just said you saved money, right? Come on, you deserve it. Sarah went. Emergency fund, $60. 3 weeks later, the $500 was gone, but those 37 likes remained. Social proof that she was doing something, evidence that people saw her trying, validation that cost her every dollar she'd saved. She sat on her bed one night staring at that post. The celebration, the support, the proof she was making progress. Her account showed $18. April 3rd, 2:17 a.m., she made a decision that felt like going invisible. No more posts about money, no more updates, no more sharing wins, complete radio silence. If people asked, she'd smile and say things were fine, that's it. She stopped broadcasting entirely. Week 1 felt suffocating. She'd pay off a credit card and her fingers would itch for the screenshot. The share button, the validation. She'd force herself to close the app, sit with the win alone, let it stay internal. Week 3, her sister asked for money again. Sarah said she couldn't help right now. No explanation, no apologizing, just a boundary. Sister got frustrated. I thought you were doing better with money. Sarah didn't defend herself, didn't explain the emergency fund she was rebuilding. Just said, I'm figuring things out, kept her frequency encrypted. Month 3, Sarah had $1,200 saved. Nobody knew, not one person. Every time the urge to share hit, she'd open her savings app instead. Look at that number. Feel the win privately. Close the app, move on. The money compounded differently when it wasn't being announced. No requests, no expectations, no pressure to prove anything to anyone. Her frequency had changed and nobody else could access it. Month 6, at a family dinner, her cousin mentioned struggling with debt. Asked Sarah for advice since you're always posting about money stuff. Sarah almost laughed. She hadn't posted in 6 months, but her reputation was still broadcasting from old transmissions. She smiled, said, "I'm still figuring it out myself," gave no advice, revealed no strategy, protected her frequency. That night, she checked her account, $2,800, more than she'd ever saved while broadcasting every move. Her coworker mentioned Sarah seemed different lately. Quieter, but in a powerful way. Sarah didn't correct her, didn't explain, just smiled. She'd switched channels, and nobody could intercept the signal anymore. Right now, I want you to try something that'll feel uncomfortable. Open your social media, scroll through your last 30 posts or stories. Count how many times you broadcasted something about money, your job, your side hustle, your struggle, your win, your goal. That number you're looking at, that's how many times you transmitted on a frequency that could be intercepted. Each one a potential energy leak. Each one a signal someone else tuned into and drained. Now here's your assignment for the next 72 hours. Complete radio silence about anything financial. Someone asks about work, fine. Someone asks about your money, stable. Someone wants to know your plan, figuring it out. Zero elaboration, zero transmission of data. And then, in those 72 hours, make one financial move in complete silence. Transfer $10 into savings. Pay an extra $20 on a debt. Cancel one subscription. Open a high-yield savings account. The action itself doesn't have to be massive. What matters is that you do it and tell absolutely no one. Not for humble points, not for discipline points, because you're practicing operating on encrypted channels. You're learning what it feels like when momentum compounds internally instead of dissipating externally. Your broke frequency was loud because it was leaking energy. Your wealth frequency will be silent because it's building power. The transition feels like suffocation at first, but that pressure, that discomfort, that's your signal getting stronger. Let everyone else scream into the void wondering why nothing sticks. You're switching channels, and your new frequency can't be intercepted. Comment frequency locked if you're done broadcasting on broke channels and ready to operate in encrypted silence. If you're the type who understands that real power doesn't announce itself, the video on screen shows you exactly how to maintain radio silence while your bank account screams. Like this video, share it with someone still transmitting their every move and wondering why everyone tunes in to drain them. Subscribe because every week I show you how to switch from interception to encryption. Become a member for protocols that separate those who broadcast from those who build. Drop in the comments what's the one financial move you're making in complete radio silence this week. Don't explain it, don't elaborate, just the move. Let's practice encrypted operations together. Your new frequency starts now, and it starts quiet.